What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the show. I'm Luke 510, and yes, I know my camera is not on right now, and I apologize. It's one of those days, guys. If you want to see me, if you like my face, you can go and check out the other videos. But today, yeah. So anyway, um, it's been a while since done this. We took a week off. Some family vacation time. So it's just some family, some family time. But we are back now this week, and we got a lot of stuff talking about, man. Coming up, the World Cup. We're gonna be talking about that. So far, we're gonna talk about flopping in the World Cup, and we're gonna touch on that a little bit. Also, we're gonna give our NFL East predictions this week. And next week, we're gonna go to we're gonna do
The
every
division. Yeah.
every division, right? But we're going to start, and obviously, barring injuries or whatever, we'll have to revisit these. But as of right now, we're going to talk about our NFL East predictions, and then we're also going to end with will LeBron stay in Miami? Will the Big Three stay in Miami? That's a hot topic right now. And if he does leave, where do we think would be his best destination? So, without further ado, let's go around and say how's everyone doing. Dawkins, how are you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. Last week I took the kids down to Santa Cruz Beach Boulevard, so that's why I was unavailable for the show. It was a good time. Back here, back in the regular grind of things this week and stuff. Watching the World Cup has been a blast. Been on Twitter, seeing all the reactions and stuff. Like, it's been pretty cool. Been a fun time. So I'm ready for football though. I'm glad that the NBA Finals are over. I must say, I'm glad that basketball is over, and I'm just ready for football. I'm ready for football right now.
For sure. Scott, you've been on a hiatus, man, on a sabbatical, but you are back. How you been, man?
I am back for this week, and I will tell you why. So I was working part-time for Verizon, and you never know the hours. Well, I quit Verizon yesterday.
Oh,
Oh
no.
man.
Only because I was offered a full-time position working at the local newspaper.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice. Good choice.
So,
Wait, is it sports?
I will. No, not yet, but you never know in the future.
Okay.
What it is, it's editor's assistant. So I'll be doing some editing, answering phones, delivering mail, that sort of thing.
Nice.
It's a cut and pay, fairly significant, but when you add it up, compare it to X amount of money and only getting 24, 25 hours a week at Verizon versus a few dollars less but getting guaranteed 40 hours every week. It's not that big of a difference.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do paperwork tomorrow, and then I start on Monday.
Nice. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, congratulations. It sounds like you're following your dream, man, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to my dad yesterday about this, and he said that he was hoping somebody would follow in his footsteps because he used to write for the newspaper way back in the day before I was even thought of in their eyes. And then now I'll be working for a newspaper. So it'll be kind of cool, and we're hoping, you never know, maybe down the line working in the sports department. Of course, our local paper, because we're a small area and we're 2 hours from any professional sports teams, all our sports section, which is just a couple of pages, is high school, local college, city league softball, and community type sports. But still, sports is sports.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, my good friend. So, yeah, man, congratulations. But let's jump right into the topics, guys. Now, obviously, when I send you guys this text saying World Cup, it's kind of very, very broad. But I guess really kind of want to talk. Okay, obviously, we have to touch on Spain and where they go from here because that is very, very bad. What do we think of the U.S.? We can talk about that a little bit. who do we think should be starting up front? And, just kind of like the surprises. Obviously Costa Rica has been surprising a lot of people. They have a big game tomorrow. Chile has surprised some people. England has failed to do anything yet again. So I guess, let's just go around and let's talk about some of our. Well, okay, let's start with the U.S. just because we're all American here. So let's start with the U.S. let's talk about what do we think they need to do going into the Portugal game.
They're going to have to gain possession, number one. Watching the Ghana game, even though they won, even though Dempsey, scored with under a minute, almost under 30 seconds, into the ball game, and even though they did win the game, Ghana, I feel like outplayed them. I feel like Ghana was in control of the ball a lot more. I know when his name is escaping me, but when the guy got hurt, that took an offensive weapon away from the United States. It's kind of funny because Donovan probably could have came in and kind of held his own if Donovan was available, but he's not, so you got to move on. But at the end of the day, Ghana wasn't in control of the game, the majority, even though the score didn't say that. But I feel like soccer is one of those games where you can outplay your opponent, but one good break here, one lucky goal here. Well, not necessarily lucky, but one big break here, and you're down by one, and it's hard to get a goal in soccer, as we all know. But I think if the United States can gain possession, and let's be real, Portugal, all they really have is Cristiano Ronaldo. So if they can shut him down, then they should have a good chance to move on, in the tournament.
Yeah, for sure. Scott, did you catch any of the United States game, the first one that they played against Ghana?
Well, first of all, it's soccer. I've never been a huge soccer fan, but I have heard on news kind of what's going on a little bit, been listening to the game during the day. But I think, I'm going to keep it kind of plain and simple. What you got to do is play strong defense, keep them from scoring, because the way I look at it, soccer is very strategic, like hockey. You're moving the ball around or moving the puck around, and you're waiting for that one good opportunity to get the best shot possible. And it's going to be a low-scoring game because you got two good defenses. If you can keep them one goal or less, you're going to win the game. So.
Yeah. Okay. Let me say this first. Klinsmann needs to get fired. After having said that, after saying that, what they need to do, in my opinion, is they need to. Miles, you mentioned it. Possession. Bradley gave the ball away too much in the midfield in the first game. We can't afford that, especially with Nani and with Cristiano Ronaldo on those wings. They can just. I mean. It's going to be hard. I mean, it really depends on what our defensive back four is, because if we have Beasley, DeMarcus Beasley as a wing defender, we're going to be in big trouble because he made a lot of mistakes against Ghana, and if he makes those same mistakes against Cristiano Ronaldo or Nani, we're going to be in huge trouble. Do I like Beckerman being in there as well as Jones and Bradley? Not so much, because they're kind of the same player. They kind of do the same things. You can argue that Bradley's a little bit farther along, but like to have three defensive holding midfielders kind of be those playmakers, it's not really going to create that much offense for us. So they need to create some pressure. We all know that the defense and the goalkeeping of Portugal is their weakest thing. And if we can capitalize on that, if we can give balls to Wondolowski, who starts, I hope they don't put in Johansson, but knowing this guy, he'll probably throw in that German guy. If Wondolowski if we can give balls to Wondolowski and Dempsey up front, and if possibly what they do is they bring Bradley back a little bit and possibly put Jones in that midfield position where he's more of a playmaker, because he did really well versus Ghana. He made a lot of passes. He drove the ball up the field. If they can do that, then possibly we can get this win. It's going to be very hard, but I really think that we can do it. But again, it all depends on our defense. I would actually sit DeMarcus Beasley and possibly start Graham Zusi over him, and maybe have Fabian Johnson in there as well in those wings, just to control those two fast wing players. But Yes, so that is what I think they should do. But knowing Klinsmann, he won't listen to reason, and he'll do something stupid. So, but hey, you know what? I support the United States. So whatever they do, it'll be okay. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the biggest surprises in the World Cup. Obviously, Spain getting knocked out after just 2 games. England has yet to win a game. I mean, you look at these 2 power, I guess you could say ex-powerhouse teams. What surprises have you guys seen in the World Cup? And it can be a team or it can be a player not producing. What have you guys seen?
For me, it's the 3 powers. I'm gonna go 3 powers. Number 1, England hasn't won the game. That's kind of shocking. It looks like they're on their way out of the whole World Cup. Spain, they're already out. Get up out of here. And number 3 is Brazil. Brazil hasn't played that well at all. You know what I mean? For them to be the host country or the host city or whatever. And the fact that they're not playing well. You know, the first game was a controversy. The second game versus Mexico, it was a draw. It's like none of these teams that are supposed to be like the biggest powers in, you know, soccer, they're really not producing that well. You know what I mean? You have smaller countries like Costa Rica, they're playing very well. Chile, they're playing very well. You know what I mean? Like those countries are outplaying these bigger, you know, kind of like world dominating soccer teams that are out there, and that's probably the biggest surprise for me.
Yeah, for sure. Scott, what do you think, man? I mean, again,
Yeah.
I know you haven't really seen that much.
Yeah, to hear a team like Brazil, who has been kind of like the Canadians of hockey, you know, they've been the top, or the Russians of hockey, you know, they've been one of the premier teams in World Cup history. Back when you had Pele and Ronaldo and those guys, they've been dominating. And then, like you said, Dawkins not playing very well.
Uh-huh.
I like to kind of see, yeah, like, again, I'm not watching very many games. I've seen bits and pieces while at work. But hearing my let's see, what is it? My heritage, the Netherlands playing pretty well.
Yeah,
they won their first game. I don't know how they did their second game. They may be 2-0.
They are.
Just knowing that they're doing well, you know, kind of makes me happy. But
yeah,
they're not necessarily known as a soccer country. They're not necessarily known as really big on sports, as any particular sport dominating soccer, tennis, you know, things like that. But they're doing pretty well. I don't know how they're going to make it past that second round, depending on who they play, but we'll see. I've seen anything happening in sports, so.
Yeah. I'm actually going to piggyback off of what you said, Dawkins. Brazil, not so. I mean, let me start with one of my biggest surprises, which is Spain, and it's really just because they literally are a team that on paper you see names and you recognize every single name because they're at the top of their form right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to see them just not having any type of chemistry is shocking to me. You can argue that having Diego Costa up front possibly caused some problems, him not really playing really well. You could also argue that having the same type of player, like Santi Cazorla and all that stuff, kind of having those same type of players in the midfield could possibly cause problems. You can argue that Casillas is just totally past his prime and should not even be playing anywhere right now. He's extremely rusty. You could argue that, but at the end of the day, these guys have the potential to take over games. So even with all these faults on defense and and all this other stuff, you would think that they could be able to do enough to get past teams that they should have gotten past. That was one of my biggest surprises. There were games that I was looking forward to seeing, and it's unfortunate that now I have no inclination to watch them at all. It will be interesting to see them going forward. In the next couple tournaments, because it is very bad for them. Going to Brazil, man, it's so funny that they mentioned Brazil because I I feel like Brazil may be one of the most overrated teams in the World Cup right now.
Yeah, on the past couple World Cups they played like like this garbage.
They did. And, you know, when you look at their defense, for example, and you look at like Marcelo and David Luiz, who got a huge contract just because he's a name, I think, it's really kind of funny. And especially when their defense hasn't really been playing very well. I mean, you could argue that they snuck by Croatia and they tied Mexico. Now, I'm not dissing Mexico, but, you know, let's be honest. You know, I mean, they should have at least been able to score one against Mexico. And again, you know, great goalkeeping by Ochoa, but I mean, come on, let's be honest. I mean, when you have Neymar, who's right up there with like being mentioned as an ex-Messi and stuff, it's like he has to be able to do something. So, but again, hey, they're alive and they will probably advance. England, jeez, what? Okay, like for all the crap that I give Jurgen Klinsmann about putting out the best team and stuff like that. What Jurgen has done is he's given players that have the ability to win together, and unfortunately, England, they're not doing that. Basically, what they're doing is they're putting Rooney in there as a center attacking mid. And yes, Rooney is an okay player, but when you haven't scored a goal in like the last 8 matches in World Cup, whatever, or whatever that stat is, you shouldn't be out there playing. So, you know, it's just so weird that, again, they're just stuck in this old mold of having these certain guys out there, and you can even throw Spain in there, of having these certain names out there, certain well-known names. And, you know, it bit him in the butt. Do I think Bureau should have been out there? Yes, I do. You know, I mean, but whatever. So, yeah, so those are my 3 biggest surprises. On a positive note, hey, you know, I believe that Costa Rica, after their win against Uruguay, totally said, hey, you know what, anything is possible. And so I think that a lot of teams are playing with a little bit more vigor now. Because, like, hey, you know what, maybe we can beat these top squads. So that's really cool to see. You never know what can happen. Exactly, Scott, like you said. You never know what can happen in the World Cup. All right. So let's move on, you guys, and let's talk about the NFL. Now, we are getting very close to, well, not really close, I guess.
No, man, we're close. We're close. We're very close.
We are getting very
Madden
very
15
close.
is like 6 weeks away, okay? And preseason football is like a month away, so we're close.
Okay, we are close to the start of actual games. It don't mean anything, but they are of football actually coming back. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the NFL East and give our predictions. Last year, Philadelphia finished at the top spot, Dallas, and then the Giants, and then Washington at a dismal 3-13. So Dawkins, I'm going to start with you, man. What do you see in this division? What type of changes? We know the changes that have happened. Do you think that Nick Foles and Philadelphia can stay on top, man?
I think right now that they're definitely the favorites. Losing Deshaun Jackson, I think, is going to hurt them, but it's not going to be that big of a loss. Because to me, Philadelphia, they still rely on that running game. Right now, I feel like Philadelphia has the best defense in that division. Washington defense wasn't good at all last year. RG3 was banged up. Now, I expect RG3 to have a better year than he did last year because he's now going to be 2 years removed from his ACL injury. So I think he's going to play a whole lot better. Dallas is Dallas. You still have Tony Romo. The running back situation, I would have liked to see them go get a Chris Johnson in the offseason to pair him with DeMarco Murray, but they didn't do that. Their defense is still garbage. You lose Sean Lee in OTAs and some meaningless practice. You know what I mean? DeMarcus Ware is no longer there. Hatcher is no longer there. The secondary really didn't get any better in the offseason. And the Giants, they have a lot of holes on defense too. I think that this division right here is probably going to have the most parity, but most parity as far as teams that are just not that good. I think Philadelphia is still going to – I really feel like Philadelphia is really going to win the division. If you look at the Giants, you still have Eli Manning, still have Victor Cruz. You did bring back Mario Manningham. You did pick up Odell Beckham in the draft. But it comes down to Eli Manning. He threw, 25, 26 interceptions last year. I know his O-line wasn't that great, but at the end of the day, you can't put your defense in bad situations, especially when you don't have a defense. You know what I mean? They did sign Rogers Camardi to play cornerback for him, so that might be an upgrade, but he doesn't like to tackle. And like I said, you know, when you look at Washington, when you look at Dallas, and when you look at Philadelphia, those teams, they do like to run the ball, and having a corner out there on the edge that doesn't like to tackle, that's not going to bode well. So I still feel like Philadelphia is the class. I think Washington and the Cowboys are going to be battling out for second place. And I really feel like the Giants can be at the bottom this year because I don't see them giving Eli too much help. And at the end of the day, he's a liability. He throws too many dumb picks for being a veteran quarterback. So I got the Eagles. But again, none of these teams to me are going to do any damage, whoever gets into the playoffs out of this division.
All right. Scott, what do you think, man?
Well, I sent you a message earlier what I think, but we're going with the NFL anyways. It's really hard for me to say a whole lot right now, being smack dab in the middle of baseball. But from what I know, I do agree with Dawkins on RG3 going to pick it back up. Yeah, he had a couple of seasons where he was hurt, but we know what he can do. He's got good running backs. They've got pretty decent defense. I think they'll win that, probably one of the weaker divisions in the NFL, in that NFC East. But that's just my take. I'm going with the Redskins.
Ooh, bold pick, my friend. Yeah, I mean, this, like you all have been mentioning, this is probably one of the most unpredictable divisions.
Yeah.
That we're going to going into next season. That's kind of why I want to start with it. But one of the biggest things that I want to see from this division is RG3, because of all the quarterbacks in this division, he has to be up there with Nick Foles. If he's not, then it's going to be a serious problem, because we know what we're going to get from Tony Romo. We know, even though it hurts, we know what we're going to get from, I mean, we know what we're going to get from Eli Manning. But with Nick Foles and with RG3, can Nick Foles stay on that semi-top level? I believe he can. But RG3 was absolutely terrible last year, and it's like, again, you want to say, hey, you know what? He was recovering from that injury. Blah 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 blah. Okay, well, you know what? Enough talk. Now you have to do something. You have to produce. Even though you don't have the weapons, we've seen him, his legs, his playmaking ability. That's what really drew us to him in his first rookie year, was his ability to kind of deal with what he had and make something happen. So I'm excited to see him. But unfortunately, having said all this about this guy, I think that they're still going to be at the bottom of the division. I don't see them even at the bottom of the division. Yes. I actually am going to go with a shocker here, and I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys on top of the division. I think it's going to come out and have a great year this year. Everyone's saying, hey, you know, you need to get this guy in the draft. You need to get this guy. You need to trade for this guy. He's going to come out. Him and Jerry Jones are going to light it up, America's team, baby, and they're going to take it all the way. Nick Foles and the Eagles probably going to get number 2, and then the Giants number 3.
I can't put the Giants over the Redskins just because Deshaun Jackson and Pierre Garçon. I think they're going to make life a whole lot easier for RG3. And we have to remember that Pierre Garçon, he did set Redskins high in catching, receiving, and receiving touchdowns. Like he was a beast last year. So I don't think the Redskins are going to win it. I definitely don't think the Cowboys are going to win it. I think it's the Eagles' division to lose, but I do see where you're coming from, though.
Yeah. What about Eli Manning? If he produces the same season like he did, should he get benched, or is his name going to save him?
With Eli, I mean, it's hard to find good quarterback play, and I think Eli's done it enough for a while that you keep him regardless of how he plays this season. I think if he doesn't play that well this season, he still has another season to kind of redeem himself, because the first one to go is going to be Tom Coughlin. Like, if the Giants don't play well, Tom Coughlin is gone. He's going to get fired. Yeah, it's fair because it seems like every single time that they go to the Super Bowl, they miss the playoffs the next season. Then they miss the playoffs, season after that. You know what I mean? And for me, it was the O line. It wasn't a very good game plan. You still had Akeem Nicks, you still had Victor Cruz, and you couldn't find ways to get them in the ball game. You know what I mean? The defense didn't play that well at all. Excuse me. So at the end of the day, I feel like it's still coaching, and it is New York, and coaches get fired all the time in New York because they demand winners. So I think it will be Tom Coughlin to go before Eli Manning. And then if Eli Manning plays bad again for another year, then I will see them drafting a top quarterback in years to come draft.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's our very vague and probably going to change throughout the preseason predictions for the NFC East.
Oh yeah.
But let's move on to our last topic of the day, guys. This is a pretty short show for a couple of reasons. But anyway, stop. Okay. Before we go into our last topic, guys, I want to remind anyone that's watching, and if you are watching this after this is done, if this is not live, this is the last show that we are doing on this channel. We will be moving our whole operation to Frisian Sports. The link will be down in the description of this video, so definitely go click that link, subscribe. We will be over there every Thursday, and you can also look out for great videos, especially with the NFL coming up and with the World Cup. You can definitely expect a lot of videos over there, so definitely check that out. Also, while you're there, check out Frisian Gaming, because yeah, there's quite a bit of good stuff going on over there as well. All right, well, let's end the show talking about LeBron freaking James.
LeBron.
It's not even, the NBA is over for like 2 weeks and we're still talking about it. But let's talk about it some more. Why not? All right, so LeBron
It's
James,
just barely been a little over a week, not quite 2 weeks.
well, too long.
Yeah, playoffs took forever.
They took forever. So LeBron has the option to leave Miami. A lot of people want him to go back to Cleveland. I personally don't think he will do that. I think he's coming to Milwaukee. But what do you guys think? Where do you guys see LeBron going if he does leave Miami? And if he leaves, who will follow him?
I think I've heard that there's possibility he is going over to the Knicks. I don't know how true that is, but you hear bits and pieces, radio, and talking about the Knicks and different places. I don't know. I could care less where he goes. Even if he were to go to Chicago, I don't know how much I would like that. Being a big Bulls fan, yeah, they could use somebody of that caliber, but I think when healthy, the Bulls are a pretty good team.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he wants to stay with that team and try to get back and get that championship ring again next year.
For sure. What do you think, Docky?
For me, I kind of see Miami going to blow itself up. To me, just going off the past, once things start to go bad, LeBron James is a type of person to go out the first door that opens. And being on a team that's been to the finals 4 straight times, only the third team in NBA history to do that, and only going 2-2 in the finals, that's not a good look, especially when this is supposed to be like a dominant team. This team's supposed to get not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but like 5 or 6 or 7 championships, and only to walk out with 2 isn't a good look. I think that Dwayne Wade might hurt the situation because he did not help LeBron James at all. Nobody on that team really helped LeBron James at all during the finals. I'm not going to say that LeBron James played his butt off during the finals, but he didn't really have too much help. And when you have 3 guys making a lot of money and only one of them shows up in the finals, that's definitely not a good look. So I could see LeBron James leaving. If he does leave, I could see Chicago. That would be a decent fit. I think him and Derrick Rose could get along just fine, especially with Joakim Noah. I think the 3 of those guys could really turn Chicago.
That's if Derrick Rose can stay healthy again.
Right. Well, I mean, if you were saying if the Bulls are healthy, then they're one of the better teams in the league, and that's true. But they also need somebody else. Everybody thought that Luol Deng could be that scorer, and he really wasn't that scorer. Now people are looking for Butler. Butler's really not that scorer. Gibson is cool off the bench, but Boozer soft. So I think if you can compare Derrick Rose with the LeBron James, and now that's the dominant team in the East, obviously, and everybody wants to win championships. New York, that might be a possibility, but that team doesn't look that stacked. If you keep Carmelo, I don't think there's any room in the salary cap to sign a LeBron James, so you have to wait to see where that goes. I think maybe the Lakers is a possibility, but knowing Kobe probably wouldn't want that. So I think it's really, I think it's really Chicago, maybe a reunion in Cleveland, or he stays in Miami. That's really what I see from that.
It sounds like, according to you, wherever he goes, nobody's really going to want him there.
Well, I think the only people that's not gonna want him there is really Kobe as far as a player. Because Kobe is the type that he wants things done a certain way. I see LeBron James and Dwight Howard kind of as the same personality, kind of goofy, kind of jokes around a little bit too much, not for Kobe's liking. And that's really it. I think that LeBron should either stay in Miami, or I feel like he should move to Chicago or go back to Cleveland. New York, maybe. I don't see that happening. I don't see that being a good fit, because from what I do know about LeBron James, he does want to win championships, and I don't think he wants to be put back in the role with people comparing him to Jordan, because I feel like he's more of a Magic Johnson type of player. But Magic Johnson, he played with great players as well, Worthy, Abdul-Jabbar, stuff like that. So I think that LeBron James needs to be in a situation where he has other not playmakers, but other people that can score the ball, in the situation. That's why I brought up the Lakers. But again, I don't know if Kobe would like that situation.
Yeah, but when you have a couple of guys that are similar styles, it may conflict with each other over there too. That's true, but egos, the same type. He needs to go to a team that he can complement the team, and the team will complement him, not being on the team where there's the same style of players he is.
Well, I don't think Kobe and LeBron are the same style of players. Just like I don't think Michael Jordan and LeBron are the same style of players. I feel like LeBron is more of a point guard playing small forward. You know what I mean? So I feel like him and Kobe could work, but knowing Kobe, I don't think Kobe would want that, because I don't think Kobe wants that stigma, oh, you can only win championships with Shaq or with LeBron James. You know what I mean? I think when he won the two with Pau Gasol, people could see that it was Kobe Bryant who really carried the Lakers and stuff like that. So for Kobe Bryant's legacy, he probably wouldn't want that. As a team, though, I think it would work tremendously, because Kobe wouldn't have to have the ball in his hands all the time. He could cut to the basket. LeBron James could feed him. I think it could work out. I just don't think Kobe would want it to happen because of Kobe's ego, not necessarily LeBron James' ego.
Right.
Yeah. I would like to see LeBron go to a team that not many people are choosing. Maybe like the Jazz or something like that. No, that would never happen. Or Milwaukee, just so we could see him play with a bunch of bums and see if he can do it. Obviously, it wouldn't be the same him being in Cleveland. But like you said, I mean, in the past, we didn't really know who LeBron was. And we wanted to say, hey, LeBron is Michael. I mean, we compared him as, we're like, oh, he's the next Michael. Only
the idiots compared him to Michael.
Okay, well, I mean, let's be honest. Okay, I mean,
well, as far as greatness and legacy, we were comparing him to Michael, because we thought that he was that style of player. But as time progressed, we see that he's more of a Magic Johnson than a Michael Jordan.
Exactly. He needs somebody else to help him out with a lot of things.
Exactly. Exactly.
And he doesn't. I mean, and again, like, it's hard. I hate using this term, but he doesn't have that drive to win.
He doesn't have that killer instinct.
That killer instinct, exactly. So yeah. So, like, I mean, now we know who he is. We know that he's probably going to go Chicago, or he's probably going to go someplace where other people are going to follow him. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Chris Bosh just tagged along. And and just like went to wherever he was, that wouldn't surprise me at all. And if he traded in Melo for Wade, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if there's a new big three and that's what it included. Or if he went to Houston and he joined Harden and Howard, that wouldn't surprise me either. So, all right, well. That is our show, guys. We have covered all the topics.
Make 5 minutes about baseball.
I mean, we can. I mean, we can talk about baseball a little bit if you want to.
I mean, if you guys have, I mean, there have been so many stories, interesting stories, in the last couple of weeks. That, for one, Clayton Kershaw last night, one of the most dominating games I've seen this year.
One of the
And I don't
dominating
even-
games in history.
Yeah, and I don't even like the Dodgers one bit. But I found myself a little bit towards the end in the 8th, 9th inning rooting for it to happen. Well, more kind of on the fence, but more happy to see it happen because it's a part of history, even though I can't stand the Dodgers. But it was great to see that. And not only to see it, who better to call it, and listening to Vin Scully call another no-hitter. You know, it was great. And not only just the no-hitter, he struck out 15 batters. You retired 27 batters and 15 of them were strikeouts. And then a bad throw by Hanley Ramirez to first, a rush throw, cost him a perfect game. There have only been, less than 30 who've even done that. So that was amazing. And I believe a week or so ago, something happened, and I'm surprised you hadn't talked about this, Livin. Out in Milwaukee, when I think a player got hit, and the fans cheered for the ejection. Was that in, having to do with Ryan Braun? Or do you not remember that?
I don't remember that.
Oh.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, okay. With the no hitter, it was great to see. But I have to be completely honest. No hitters have lost their value. We see no hitters all the time now. Yes, it's a great feat. It's a great feat. And as a baseball fan, hey, you know what? It's awesome to see. But at the same time, with again, teeth. Okay, let me calm down. So with Tanaka, for example, being able to come over and totally dominate the batters that we see today, yes, great job by him. But at the same time, it's like, okay, this is a very it's possible for, I mean, pitching has kind of started dominating the game, and when you see no hitter after no hitter after no hitter after no hitter, it's like, okay, so this is awesome, but I mean, like, for example, Beckett.
Can I just cut in real quick? I just have a question. I don't really mean to interrupt you, but how many times has there been 2 no hitters on the same team in the same year?
Well,
I don't know.
Because
it's probably been about
didn't
20
Beckett do
to
a no-hitter
30
as well?
years. Yeah, just a couple weeks ago.
That's
Yeah.
my point.
I don't know how many
I
times
think that's
it's
the point that,
happened.
yeah, I'm talking about happened on the same team where both pitchers within a couple of weeks have no hitters on the same team.
Yeah, and again, like I'm not trying to diminish his accomplishment.
Yeah, because it's fantastic.
But I'm just trying to, like, explain why I'm not as excited as I once was before, because it's just so, I mean, again, it's just like, okay, another no-hitter, that's awesome. Another no-hitter, that's awesome. I mean, the fact that Josh Beckett, a guy who had like an ERA in the 5s last year, is able to get a no-hitter, that's like kind of inconsistent in my opinion, So yes, we can say, hey, Josh Beckett, you're awesome. But is anyone going to say Josh Beckett is the ace of that staff? There's no fucking way. So yes, it's very, very cool to see Clayton Kershaw come back from injury this year and throw a no-hitter. But he was also doing it against the Colorado Rockies, who were who were playing very, very dismal in that game. I mean, let's be honest. They were swinging at pitches that they probably shouldn't have swinging at. And the fact they only threw 85 pitches means that they weren't patient at the plate. So it's
right.
Yes.
But that's also a team hearing about the guys on the radio talking about it most of the day, how Colorado is, as a team, one of the top batting averages in the majors. Granted, they do play in Colorado, but still, you need to hit the ball.
But they're playing Colorado.
Yeah, and
Right. But
the
but to be able to be on your game so much with your fastball and then getting him off balance with that nasty curveball that he had, it that right there just shows you that even though this is the second one in a month, it's still an amazing feat no matter who the pitcher is and no matter who the team is.
it is.
Because you have to be on that much on pinpoint control. Granted, you get some help from your friends, from your defense, but you have to be that pinpoint, that on your game, and it's just an amazing feat to me. It's no matter how many times you see it.
No, it definitely is, especially the way that he did it. He's I think the first pitcher in Major League history to give up 0 hits, 0 walks, and 15 strikeouts. So that is very impressive. But in the grand scheme of things, it was a no-hitter. And like Yu Darvish, he's been 2 times he's been so close to a no-hitter and just missed it because like a blooper or the ball goes between his legs, something like that. So to Livin's point, it happens so much now. Pitching is so dominant now that it takes away from just the no-hitter. Now what Kershaw did, he did personally
Right.
fantastic. What he did was unbelievable. But what the other pitchers are doing is hurting the significance of what Kershaw
Right.
did because
I know what
see
you
it all
guys
the
are
time.
talking about.
And I think with other sports you can see it. Because like when you talk about the Bulls in the 90s, they had to get past the Pistons. So a lot of people look at what Michael Jordan did when he was facing the Pistons. A lot of times with baseball is so predicated on numbers that a lot of times you don't care who that guy was playing against. You don't care half of the home runs that Barry Bonds hit. Who is he facing against? You know what I mean? So in other sports, you can see it. With football, it's a once-a-week thing. Oh, Tom Brady threw for 500 yards. Yeah, but it was against the Buffalo Bills. Who really cares? Like you can see that. With baseball, it's not really that way because numbers – because throughout the history of baseball, it's all been about numbers. But then, of course, you had the steroid era, and that hurt things. And then you just get to a point where it's like people are more interested in the moment than the actual game. And that's why the World Cup is so popular right now, even though half the people watching it can't name half of the teams that are even in it, half of the players that are on those teams. When baseball, was the dominant sport in this country, and it's like, I'm looking forward to football season. Like I haven't really watched any baseball, even though my minute to preach it will be about baseball.
Yeah.
You're what? I know what you're saying because just earlier this season, Tim Lincecum threw a no-hitter, but he had a bunch of walks and he threw 130, 140 pitches in that game.
Yeah.
That kind of takes away the meaning from a no-hitter and the pizzazz of it. But as far as the no-hitter in general, somebody to retire every bit. Well, granted, you may have a walk or two, but most of the time when you're on like that, the batters are getting on maybe by an error, maybe one walk. But
yeah,
he was one throw away from being the 29th or 30th perfect game in Major League history.
Yeah, but I mean,
but and then he has 15 strikeouts.
Yeah,
True,
no,
very
very impressive.
An interesting stat will be to look at how many no-hitters there were in the past 10 years. Because like I said, I mean, and maybe it could just be me, but I'm getting very, very tired of seeing no-hitters. And perfect games still have that lure to me. Perfect
Well,
game.
Nolan Ryan had 7 himself, and that was he's
one of the best pitchers to ever play the game. But is anyone going to say that Clayton Kershaw is Nolan Ryan? No, fuck no. Like no one would ever say that. So
no,
it's a different era.
But they're comparing him to they're comparing him to I think it's Drysdale. Maybe with his style and.
To me, it's always hard to compare people from different eras, especially in baseball, because you don't see pitchers doing the same thing. Like if a pitcher gives up 3 runs, by the 7th inning he's out. Back in the day, you give up 3 runs, you're probably still in the game as long as you're still getting people out. Nowadays, you have a setup guy.
And probably pitching the second game of a doubleheader too.
Exactly, but now
they weren't worried about your arms going out.
Exactly, but now there's a freaking pitch count. There's all this other stuff that's like micromanaging every little thing. So now pitchers, they're not like Iron Man like back in the day. You know what I mean? Where these guys will go
Right.
9 innings like nothing. You know what I mean? It will really be a duel, out there between pitcher and batter. Now there's a pitch count. This guy's going to come out 6th or 7th inning, bring the setup guy, bring in the closer. Let's get up out of here with the W. So when these guys go out there and get no hitters, like you say, what Kershaw did, fantastic. I'm not taking anything away from him, but you mentioned Tim Lincecum. I mean, he's almost the 5th pitcher on the roster right now. It's like they're just so frequent that it takes away from the magnitude of what they used to be.
Yeah, and
I'm at the point I kind of take it instant by instant, situation by situation. You're watching a Giants game, and Tim Lincecum's walked 5 or 6 batters. He's got a no-hitter. Yeah, you watch it because you're watching the game anyways. But you're kind of rooting for him to do that. Yeah, it's a no-hitter. But then you have somebody like Clayton Kershaw who's retired, the first 18 batters in a row, heading to the 7th inning, and the only base runner is a throwing error. You're really more into that one because of what's going on. He hasn't walked anybody. I don't even think he got to a three ball count one. But to me, you kind of have to take it instant by instant or situation by situation.
That's true.
That way.
you do.
I think that's true, but that's more so for diehard baseball fans. I don't think if Living would have texted me, yo, man, he has like 14 strikeouts. He's about to have he's almost close to a perfect game. Tune in and watch it, and I'm like, I'm okay, because it's like it's June, and like the games right now, even though every game does matter, I'm not naive to believe that they don't. It's like, if it happened in the playoffs, that's a bigger deal. If it happened in the World Series, that's a bigger deal. And I know none of you guys are naive to believe that it's not. But it's like when you have the World Cup going on, when you have stories about LeBron James going on, for the rest of the sports world, it's like whatever happens in baseball is like, call me after the All-Star break.
And I think you make a great point, actually, by saying that, because And Scott, I think you kind of touched on this a little bit as well without knowing it. Like, there's just so much baseball right now, and if you look at every team that plays like every single day, I'm gonna watch the A's game, but I'm not gonna watch the Royals game.
Right.
And it's hard for me to get excited. And yes, I am a huge baseball fan. But right now, if I had to choose between watching the Costa Rica or the United States game or watching Clayton Kershaw's no-hitter, I'm watching the soccer game. I'm just being honest, And,
Right.
And
Because
again,
that only goes on for a few weeks, and then it's over.
yeah, but that's the thing. But that's the thing, though, because baseball, like Miles was saying, right now, okay, it's awesome, but like, who really cares right now? I mean, because right now, like, someone who hasn't watched baseball all year can tune in, look at the standings, and be like, oh, the A's are in first place. That's awesome. Okay, I'll watch one game. But are they going to watch 2? Are they going to watch 3? Are they going to watch 4? Probably not. They're probably going to watch 1, and then they're probably going to look back at the standings in the next month and say, oh, look at them. They're still up there, And then maybe they'll watch a little bit more. But
I know a lot of people are focusing on the World Cup because it's the World Cup. It's every 4 years. It's big. They like soccer. I'm not a huge fan of soccer. I'm going to stick watching baseball. I'll check scores on soccer, but that's me though. But I can see the stage is bigger right now for the World Cup.
But I think it's hurting baseball though.
Baseball is too long. It has too many games for it to gravitate to the level of a World Cup, because like you said, the majority of the people watching the World Cup don't know the teams, don't know who's on the teams, but could care less because they know the stakes. You know what I mean? They know the stakes. They know that, if you win, you go on. If you lose, you got to win another game or you're going to be going home. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day,
at least they know enough that I can probably name 10 teams only because I know the countries that are out there.
Yeah.
I know geography a little bit. but they don't know much about who's on these teams.
That's right.
I could name 2 players on Team USA. I can name 1 player on Portugal because I've been hearing that name.
Yeah, okay.
Well before
okay. But let's ask you a different question, Scott. Can you name the catcher who caught Clayton Kershaw's perfect game?
I'm thinking it was A.J. Ellis, maybe. I think he's been the catcher.
It was.
I didn't watch the whole game because you don't get it up here.
No.
In fact,
I mean,
you don't even get it down there.
Yeah, I know, and that's kind of what I'm getting at is like, it's a great moment, but at the same time, like I remember when I was in college, and I would get texts from like my baseball friends, and they'd be like, "Hey man, a no-hitter's going on," and you would be able to turn on ESPN, and they would have live coverage of it. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
now they don't have it.
Now they don't do
What
that.
what they do is that they have it in the corner, and they say, okay, so so has a no-hitter. But you, like, from a sports fan, and I can't watch that game, one, because I don't have, I mean, I could, you know, I could go to MLB.com and open up my MLB TV, whatever. But, like, someone who doesn't have that, they're like, okay, that's awesome, that's going on, but I can't watch it, so why do I care, you know? So
I think another thing is that it was a great moment, but the moments in baseball lack the same moments of other sports.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because the game has to bring you to it, and then you're in awe of what this person can do. So let's say if it was like a primetime game on ESPN, maybe more people would have saw it live. But because it's on the regular broadcast, not too many people saw it. But it's like, I'm not that attracted to the NBA, but knowing that it's on every night, TNT, knowing it's going to be the Heat versus some other good team, I'm drawn to it. And then while LeBron James had a double-double, that's awesome. Baseball is like, there's nothing pulling me to it. Where it's like, okay, let me sit down and watch this game. You know what I mean? And I think that's hurting baseball because there's so much of it, because not everything is publicized and stuff like that. That is hurting the game. But again, what this guy did was fantastic. First pitch, I believe, in MLB history, have 15 strikes, give up no hits, give up no walks. You know, no hitter, should have been a perfect game. You know what I mean? That was fantastic. And as a sports fan, that was beautiful to see the highlights of. But as a sports fan, I don't know if I would have tuned in to watch it live.
Right. I watched it. Well, I had seen on Game Day on the MLB website that he was doing something, and then I turned it to the MLB Network, and the MLB Network went from their Baseball Tonight thing or Hot Stove or whatever it was, and they switched to the game. It used to be ESPN would have switched to the game, but like you said, because the World Cup is such a bigger stage, and right now they're not going to cut from. You know, I don't even know if the World Cup game was on at the time.
I don't think it was on at the time. No, I don't think there was no.
But it would have been that or college baseball.
Yeah.
They're not going to switch from that to go to a possible perfect game or no hitter.
Yeah,
but that's the problem.
But the all baseball channel obviously would. Or
but
at least you would think so.
I would hope for the sake of baseball that ESPN would turn off a college World Series game.
Thank you. Who watches that shit?
Exactly, for a historical event. Because if ESPN would have been hyping it up, maybe I come across ESPN and dang, it's the 8th inning. He's 6 outs away from a no-hitter. I'm gonna watch that. I will watch that. But it's like, if I'm not flipping through channels and I'm watching what I'm watching, I get a text from Living, it's like, okay, well, I'll see the highlights. You know what I mean? It's like the numbers in baseball, to me, they don't mean as much as they once did. But it's still a numbers game. And I think that's what's hurting baseball so much.
And that's a lot of it is with all this technology and all this this media stuff, you can get any stat of any player of any game from any year at any time. And it, to me, it sometimes draws away from the anticipation, from the excitement. You can watch highlights of every single game around the country. You know, 15 years ago, you know, if you're watching, you know, ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, or they may switch to a game and you get the excitement. I still get
That's
excitement
true.
because it's a no hitter.
But
And baseball's my number one sport over
yeah,
anything, hands down.
And
it has a huge lead over anything else. But that's me. I love baseball. I love seeing a no hitter thrown by a player who's on the team, one of the teams I hate the most.
Yeah.
I can see where you're coming from with that. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that. Because as a football fan, I would root for another team if that person's like rushing for like 200 yards in the game or something like that. So like, I can see, and I know we're running out of time, but I think one thing I want to touch on real quick is that back in the day, like you said, 15 years ago, we were forced to watch baseball because there was no channel like an NFL Network or there's no channel like NBA TV. And I think baseball, was kind of naive to that fact that if football was on right now, how many people would be watching baseball? If basketball was on, how many people will be watching baseball? Because then 2004 comes around, you have NFL Network. A couple of years later, you have NBA TV. You know what I mean? Now you have all these channels that are just dedicated to that one sport.
MLB Network.
And you do have MLB Network, but the people that will watch ESPN Sunday Night Baseball are the same people that are watching MLB Network. You know what I mean? So the point I'm making is the majority of fans in this country who are sports fans love the NFL, love baseball, love hockey, but the majority of us love football. You know what I mean? And now that there's a channel dedicated to that, we're not pigeonholed to watch just baseball as sports fans. And I think baseball did a bad job of managing that. But again, who could really see the future? But you have to learn how to change because Blockbuster used to be the dominant renting force, and now they don't even exist no more.
Right.
I saw a commercial for him actually that day.
And did that entice you to go to Blockbuster, or are you still doing Redbox?
All right. Well, I'm a Netflix guy myself, but.
Oh, there you go. But imagine. I think the point I'm trying to make is imagine if Blockbuster had something like that where you can just stream it live from a Blockbuster website. Netflix when it exists. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think if they would have did a better job in the 90s hyping up Barry Bonds, hyping up Ken Griffey Jr., and having these guys like worldwide celebrities, I think baseball would still be the driving force that it used to be in the 90s.
For sure. All right, you guys. Great conversation right there. Great
Absolutely.
topic. Good job. All right. Well, let's end this show, as we always do, with a minute to preach it. So it's basically that we all get a minute to say whatever we want to say. It can be about sports. It could be about life. It could be about, whatever happened. Your breakfast this morning. So who wants to start us off?
I'll go first. That's what I do.
I'll go last. That's what I like to do.
All right. Sounds good. Scott. Dawkins. Tell me whenever you're ready, man.
I'm ready, man.
All right, go ahead.
All right, man. So even though I'm more of a football guy, I am the football head, I'm here to talk about some baseball because earlier in this show, a couple months ago, we had our predictions for who's going to win the divisions. And I had a couple of picks that people did not understand at all. Now, I have to give kudos to my main man, Livin, because he predicted Milwaukee will win the Central, the NL Central. Right now, they have a 4-game lead versus St. Louis. But who gives a crap? Anyways, I'm going to the AL Central. Your man right here, Dawkins. I predicted that the Kansas City Royals would win that division. I know it's still early. I know it's not even an All-Star break, but they are winners of the last 9 out of 10 games. They had a 4-game series versus the Tigers, and they lost one of those games, but the other ones were flat-out beatdowns of the Detroit Tigers. And then, of course, even though they are third place right now in the AL East, my Baltimore Orioles with my man Chris Davis get healthy, baby. They only 3 games back behind Toronto, and they can leapfrog the Yankees and take on Toronto and do their thing there too.
Nice.
Nice.
I was hoping that was going to be one of the topics in the baseball I was going to talk about, those Kansas City Royals.
Doing that thing, baby, doing that thing.
If you can't get excited for something like that in baseball, then I don't know what is wrong with you.
I can get excited for that. I ain't watching the Kansas City Royals no time soon, though. I'm not going to watch them.
No. I'm just saying
the standings are very nice.
The excitement that a team like the Kansas City Royals hasn't won a World Series or even been in the playoffs in probably close to 30 years.
Yeah.
They're atop their division. they dominated the Tigers in that series
They sure did.
And
They sure did.
and leapfrogged over them.
But
Yeah.
it's early in the season, guys.
It is early in the season, but are you not excited that Milwaukee's in first place?
I mean, I am.
Okay, and I know you're more
It's
excited
still
about
early
that
in the
than
season.
the A's.
It's still early in the
It
season.
is still early in the season, exactly. But you still get excited for that. You still do.
I guess. All right, you guys. I'm just about to start. You ready?
Yeah, man. It's on you.
And I promise that my webcam will be back on next week, maybe. I don't know. All right. I don't know. I kind of like this. Okay. Walking around with no pants. Here we go. All right, you guys. So today I'm going to be talking about Super Smash Bros. Now this is arguably one of the best games ever created, ever made. I spent so many hours playing this game at college with my friends, and I can't wait for it to come back on the Wii U. And when you look at a game that has really stayed the same for the past, for its whole entire lifetime, and for it to be able to just literally add in character after character after character, it really shows you can make a great game and not throw in these little stupid bells and whistles like, you know, the double thing, the double O-line blocking that doesn't even work, or corner routes that don't work, or, you know, or whatever.
Don't get that, Madden.
You can just take out all the bells and whistles, and if you have a great game, people will come back to it. Everyone that I talk to, they're excited to play this game. They can't wait to play this game, and it's just the same old stupid fighting game, but it's amazing. I can't wait. So.
Don't be getting that man like that.
Ah! All right. Madden sucks. Scott, are you ready?
No, you don't even play it, so you be quiet.
All right.
Whenever you're ready, man. Just let me know.
Okay, so today is Thursday, June 19th, 2014.
Is it?
We're about almost halfway through the baseball season, and what do you know? We got some great stories. Kansas City Royals are on top. My Oakland A's have a 4.5 game lead. Best record in baseball. Yeah, I know it's early, but you know what? They're going to push forward. They've got some great stories. And it's just been a great season because you got Josh Donaldson leading all of third basemen in the American League in All-Star votes. Derek Norris, top 5. Brandon Moss, top 5. Yoenis Cespedes also in the top 10 in voting. This is going to be the year of the Oakland A's. Yeah, they've talked about A's, Giants, possible World Series. Yeah, it's a little early, but you know what? The A's are dominating. Donaldson struggled the last 2 weeks. A's are still winning. Josh Reddick, A's still winning. It comes down to pitching, and the offense is coming up. A's World Series champions at the end of this year.
Ooh, called it in June.
Why isn't it our A's, though, man? I'm
a Milwaukee Brewers fan.
What? No.
Yep, you got a Ryan Brown poster over your head with a needle in his butt.
So, unless you guys change it up a different night and after 5 o'clock our time, I'm going to be done for a while because I start that new job from 8 to 5 next week, Monday through Friday.
We can see. I mean, I really have nothing holding me on the Thursdays, really. So.
Yeah, me neither. The only thing that doesn't work for me is Mondays. Mondays and Sundays are the only days I'm unavailable.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. We're still live, guys. So, you know, whatever. All right. So, thank you guys so much for watching.
We live, homie?
Yeah, so if you guys decide to choose another day in the week and then do it maybe about 5:30 our time, I'll make it. If not, no big deal. I'll try to check in when I have days off.
All right. Sounds good, man.
Let me know on Facebook or something if you change
Computer love.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. Okay, well, that's it. Thank you guys again so much for watching. We're back here. As of right now, we'll be back here next Thursday, 5:30 Central Time, 3:30 Pacific Time, and 6:30 Eastern Time, and 4:30 Mountain Time. And yes, we'll be back here, like I said, next Thursday. But that's it. You can watch all of the other stuff that we talked about earlier. If you want to skip back, click a like on the video if you enjoyed it. A reminder, we will not be on this channel, though. We will be on the Frisian Sports channel, which is in the description below. And, yeah, the Brewers are kicking ass. Yeah, jeez, it's amazing. Who called that? I did. All right, Ryan Brown's the best. I'm going to end this broadcast. Confirm. Yes, please.